Testing, testing. So hopefully the audio is a lot better on this one, guys. This is video 2. It's going to be on shame. And I mentioned on my last video how guilt and shame, and we'll just simplify it to shame. They're very similar. The differences do not matter for this video. But how guilt and shame kept me repeating the same loops and stuck in my mind and stuck in my stories. And if you think of a child, if you think of a little kid, I have a couple nephews, so I can think of them. If you think of them running around, just living life, fully expressing themselves, loving everyone, not overthinking, being very creative, being very confident, this, I believe, is our true nature. So what happens? Why are we not, as adults, walking around through the world with this confidence, with this love, with this openness, with this connection to the heart and the soul? In my experience, it's been due to incidents that have us create these false beliefs in our head that we are not good enough, which creates these feelings of shame. Shame for what we look like, what we enjoy doing, what we desire, shame for how we act, shame for what we want to pursue in life, shame for our purpose, basically shame for anything. And in my history, I can pinpoint a few key moments that instilled this belief that I was not good enough, or this belief of shame that I should feel ashamed for being me. I can think of a few key moments, so I'm just going to share a little bit about these moments in hopes that you guys can kind of recognize these patterns in your own life. Because if we're going to change anything, if we're going to dive into our beliefs and our patterns and our feelings, like I said, I've been doing, and I know a lot of people want to do to be free. If we're going to do that, I think it's very helpful to have a foundation of why we feel these emotions and where they come from and why we get disconnected from our true nature to begin with. So um, we'll start with the first memory that comes to mind, and this was in 5th grade for me. So I was always really intelligent and creative as a kid, and I tested into the gifted program at school. And the elementary school I went to didn't have a gifted program, so I needed to switch schools to go to a specific class that had teachers that were certified to teach these higher level classes, essentially. So I went to a different school for 5th and 6th grade. And immediately when I got to that school, there was a sense of separation, of being other than. It was as though the other students at the school looked down on us, the people and the kids in my class, because we were different. So it almost became like an us versus them. Even at recess, I remember like all of us in the classes, in the smart classes, would hang out, and then you would have like the rest of the school that would hang out, and there was always this kind of animosity. But specifically how that relates is I just remember many instances of being bullied for being intelligent. They used to call us SOP, which stood for stupid on purpose. And obviously in hindsight, this is hilarious. Like once you have awareness about all this, looking back, it's funny to me. It's also sad, of course, because it's sad that when people feel uncomfortable with someone being different than them, they feel the need to tear that person down. And we obviously still see a lot of this in our culture now based on race, ethnicity, gender, etc. But I remember being bullied for being in the gifted classes. And so the belief that I took on was it's not okay for me to shine. It's not okay for me to be myself. It's not okay for me to express my intelligence and my creativity. And that belief got doubled down in junior high when once again I was in the more like the gifted classes, the classes for kids who scored higher on tests and things like that. And I remember getting bullied again and again for the same things. Like even before I would walk into class, people would make comments, just name calling and things of that nature. So that was the first thing. That was the first belief I picked up, is that, hey, Jeff, I just want to let you know that if you shine, if you fully embody who you are, and if you share your gifts and express yourself, you might make me uncomfortable. So you need to go ahead and just dim yourself down so I don't feel uncomfortable. That was the message I was receiving from those other people. And side note, like I said, at this point, I harbor no ill will towards those kids. Like I said, when we sense someone is different and we don't have an awareness, we're naturally going to try to cut them down to make ourselves feel better or superior. And this is all a function of the ego, which I'm going to discuss in a whole nother video, what the ego is, what it's not, some misconceptions and things like that. So anyways, at that point, through junior high, I've harbored this deep belief that I should not shine, I should not be myself, I should not be smart. So I started to take on the persona of like the class clown. I would purposely not try and think it was like cool to not try. So I would like make comments in the back of the class and disrupt class and try to be funny, because I still wanted to use my intelligence, my wit, but I didn't want to outshine other people or make them uncomfortable. So that was a big, big belief. I also remember getting bullied for what I enjoyed doing. So first I was bullied for what I was good at, my intelligence, my creativity, and things of that nature. And then I was dating a girl in junior high, a very serious relationship, of course. And I was in Boy Scouts at the time. I'm actually an Eagle Scout now, so I pursued that for a long time. But I almost quit in junior high because of the bullying. And she called me up. She found out that I was going on a Boy Scout camp out, and I couldn't hang out with her that weekend. And she said something about like, oh, what are you, a loser? Like, I don't want to hang out with someone who goes camping or who's in Boy Scouts. That's for losers. Something along those lines. Regardless, I got judged for it. And I internalized the belief that, okay, I will get rejected if I do things I genuinely enjoy. So that added on to the other belief of I shouldn't shine. And now it's, oh, I guess I shouldn't really do what I want to do. I should just try to fit in, because that way I won't get rejected. And then the last big belief I think that I picked up early on was what I looked like wasn't good enough. And this was something that started when I was younger, and it covers two levels. One is like physical appearance, just purely like what my face looks like, what I look like. I would get bullied for like my eyes. People would be like, oh, your eyes are really close together. They call me Cyclops. They would make fun of my physical appearance and things like that. So there's some more shame beliefs. I don't look good enough. And then, funny enough, in high school, I started getting into weightlifting, and it was my way to like prove, it's like, well, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to show you that I look good enough. So I got really into weightlifting. I got in really, really good shape, like 8% body fat, abs, biceps, all that stuff. And I felt really good. But it was ultimately just a facade and just covering up that deeper shame. So honestly, until recently, those beliefs were still in me to some degree. And I think it can be a lifelong process of excavating these beliefs. But I just wanted to share those three things because, so being bullied for my natural gifts, what I enjoyed doing, and then what I looked like. And now I know there was absolutely nothing wrong. I feel great about myself right now. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just as powerful and gifted and unique as everyone else. But at the time, I didn't have that awareness to see what was going on. And when we're teenagers and when we're young, we don't know where someone else is coming from, and we don't necessarily have the awareness to realize like why they might be talking, why they might be saying that to us. Like maybe this person's in pain and they're taking it out on me. So all I heard was, oh, you're wrong, you're weird, something's wrong with you, you're ugly, and like you should feel shame. You should be ashamed for who you are. And this is something that reared its head a lot for me in my 20s because it always felt like I was trying to prove myself. I was still very into like getting my physique the right way. It got to the point where I was like, I can't even like go out unless I feel like I look really, really good. Like I have to look perfect, have to have like the right shirt, body fat has to be right. Everything had to be like perfect because I had these beliefs underneath that said, I don't look good enough. And funny enough, now that I've worked on all this, it's like I rarely even think that much about what I'm wearing. Obviously, I'm still going to take care of myself. I still exercise and all that, but it's from a much different place. Um, so I guess that's all I wanted to say in this video. I just wanted to share how I picked up these beliefs and where my kind of starting point was. And until like November of 2018, they were still very, very pervasive in my life, and they were still very much affecting my decisions. And there was a pivot point. I had moved back home in January of 2017 after a really painful breakup, and I had worked a few jobs, odd jobs, and I was living back at home with my parents. And then finally, like November 2018, something popped in me, and I realized that it was like I finally realized that there was so much shame and just so much insecurity, and I knew it wasn't who I was. I finally had that space. And I had had experiences of this like years prior. Like I've had experiences with meditation and psychedelics that gave me this awareness as well. But it wasn't until November 2018 that I was like, okay, I need to do more. Like there's more autonomy. There's more things that I can do to take control of my life and reconnect with who I really am. So it was like a very, very pivotal moment where I decided I needed to ask for guidance in working through the shame and in getting back in touch with who I was, who I am. And I'll probably share more about that journey. So starting in November 2018 and then to where I'm at now, which is like a completely different person. I feel so much more myself. I feel very confident. I feel very good. And there's no movement to feel superior or inferior to anyone, which is also ego stuff. But yeah, so that's the stuff that I carried with me for probably 20 years, almost 20 years, 15 to 20 years, and it showed up by, like I said, me trying to prove myself physically, me dumbing down myself to make other people feel more comfortable. So I would always hide my gifts in a way. I wouldn't feel comfortable fully shining. And I know that each and every one of you watching this has some degree of these beliefs in you because you're a human being and you've been conditioned and you've gone through life and these things happen. But I'm here to tell you that it is possible to come back to who you are. And who you are is a confident, brilliant, attractive person. Beyond all the societal conditioning, beyond all the bullshit belief systems, you are powerful. I will talk to you guys very, very soon. And so much love to all of you.